less than 48 hours, the first ballot will be cast in Nigeria's next presidential election. All things being equal, and among the top contenders for the highest political office in the land will be former Anambra State Governor Peter Obi, who will be flying the Labour Party flag. It has been a bruising period of campaigning for all the political parties, but more so for a party which practically had to start from scratch and gradually rode on the crest of public goodwill and an audience willing and ready to embrace a new conversation for national rebirth. As we build up to the elections, we're now being joined by Akin Osuntokun, who is Director General, Labour Party's Presidential Campaign Council, to look at the party's preparations. Thanks so much, Mr. Akin Osuntokun, for joining us on Newsday.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Well, campaigns will be ending in just a few hours, but I'd like you to give us your assessment of the Labour Party's presidential campaign so far. Would you say it's been wide enough? Has it been far-reaching enough to get you the needed votes to win the election on Saturday?
Well, first of all, I would have loved to be here in happier circumstances. I'm sure you will be aware that our senatorial candidate in Enugu East was murdered yesterday. And I would like everybody to observe a moment's silence in his memory. Yeah. So, experiences on the campaign trail. My job is made a lot much easier by the fact that we have a good product. We often hear it in marketing that a good product sells itself. So that has been the case. So I mean, talking about promoting him, presenting him in his true what he has to offer in terms of character, competence, and capability. He speaks for himself. I mean, the lengthiest occasion where he has had to display himself before the old world was at Chatham House. Then he was on his feet for 2 hours, and by a common consensus, he performed better than anybody imagined. And in terms of physical fitness, anybody who can stand on his 2 feet for 2 hours, probably without water, qualifies, it will be rated very highly on the index of energy, physical energy. So you see, he scores very high in all departments. And this is not the opinion of only those of us for whom is a principal, but almost everywhere in the world where there had been commentaries on the presidential election in Nigeria. The last one I recall was by the London Economist. In one of their leaders, the editorials, appraised, the forthcoming presidential election, and they adjudged him the best by wide margin. I doubt if any other candidate has covered the length and breadth of Nigeria as he has done. We went to all the 36 states in Abuja. When we ended, we went on, irregular campaign visits to several places. So is fighting fit. Nigeria will gain a lot. If this year election is a make or mark for Nigeria, his election is victory. We'll decide that. It will make that Nigeria. It means that Nigeria is ready to go forward. The prospects of the other 2 candidates are bleak, and they self-advertised in their shortcomings for Nigeria. They are not specifically the ab initio, they advertise themselves even before they hit the campaign trail by the mere facts of their tickets, right? Both tickets are a threat to the national unity and integration of Nigeria. And it is self-evident from whichever angle you want to look at it. The first one, let me take them, the PDP. Its candidature is coming against the background of a principal convention that has served Nigeria well and helped to stabilize Nigeria politically in the Fourth Republic. And I'm talking about power rotation. Now, in violation of that power rotation, it is his choice. Right? If you ever believe, I can't recall that he expressed any disagreement or enter any objection to that rotation principle. So, by them putting himself forward, is a deliberate action of violation of that which has served Nigeria very well. The other one that observed, so to say, the rotation principle, took back what it gave with the right, took back with the left hand what it gave with the right hand by choosing same faith ticket. In this regard, Muslim ticket. Again, against the background of what Nigeria has witnessed in the past decade, I don't see there will be any, in any way you can imagine that you can attribute goodwill for Nigeria in such a ticket. Now, it was not forced on him, I mean the president. He went out deliberately when he was nominated to deliberately choose that.
I'm trying to interrupt you just for the sake of time in order to get some more questions in. I apologize for cutting you briefly. Yeah. And we also commiserate with your party for the death of your colleague in such a horrible manner. In light of the proximity of the elections and what has just happened with your colleague, are there fears that Saturday would be a little more violent than thought? And what is the Labour Party doing in order to douse some of the inevitable tension that will spring up on Saturday? Also, as we know that there was the National Security Council meeting yesterday, and there was the peace accord signing for the second time, and the adherence to all parties playing safe and being sportsmanlike if the elections don't come out in their favor. Can you assure us that, the Labour Party supporters, those obedient, especially the ones on social media, will be encouraged to douse their rhetoric if the elections do not come out in the favor of your party?
Well, you are adopting a position that is prejudiced against us. Why did you have, what evidence do you have, to categorically state that obedience are the one causing panic or threatening in the social media? You shouldn't have said that.
That is not what I was trying to imply. Every party has has individuals who could potentially stir up the polity. And I just know that being that Twitter is a space for very vocal individuals, I did not say that they were violent. I did say that they could stir up some trouble. So it could be the Labour Party, it could be APC, it could be PDP. I'm not singling you out. We're just asking you what you're going to do or your party will do in order to make sure that sportsmanlike conduct is displayed.
Well, you can't, you've observed the conduct of our campaign rallies all over the country. The conduct of how civil, how restrained, our presidential candidate has been on the campaign trail and generally, right? So he has set the tone for whatever it is with the remit of the Labour Party to contribute to the prospects of peace before, during, and after the election. Ultimately, though, the peace, stability, violence, is not up to us. A lot of it, substantially, it is up to the government of the day, to assure security and to take preventive measures and deterrence preventive measures, and where they do occur, to square up against it. We are impressed by what the armed forces cutting across the police, the military, the commitment they've expressed, to guarantee peace and stability during the elections. I hope that they carry it through. There are one or two places where we have had cause to be alarmed, at the potential for violence. Now, in Lagos, there was a calculated attempt at voter suppression through violent intimidation, in several places in Lagos. We witnessed, we were a victim of one when we had the last rally in Lagos. Some of our supporters were prevented physically from getting to the venue, sometimes very violently. Specifically, one resulted in the amputation of the arm of our member who was coming for the rally. Was macheted, and so so these are the prospects. Those are the kind of things. The desperation, right? Desperation. Our candidate is not desperate, but I doubt you can see that of the other two. And desperation can lead you to do things anyway, anyhow, right? There's something I've said before, and I'll say it again. It is better to lose doing the right thing than to win doing the wrong thing. I don't know, I doubt it very much if the other contestants share that philosophy.
Mr. Osuntokun.
You see on the drums.
Mr. Osuntokun, so what then would you say is the significance of the peace accord and this latest one that was signed in Abuja yesterday? Do you see it doing anything to douse tensions as we go into the election on Saturday? Proportionally,
it's a very small measure. What the measures that can be taken to guarantee peace, and it doesn't rank as high, as the conduct of those who are charged, with the security of Nigeria. The chief security officer is, of course, the president. The peace signing ceremony will contribute, to a de-escalation of tensions. That is the purpose. But the extent to which it does that is the question. I'm not sure that you cannot rank. It will play a role, but not a dominant role. The dominant role in guarantee that peace and stability is the neutrality of the armed security services and their commitment to doing precisely what they said they would do. I've mentioned before that they have taken preventive and deterrence measures, and where despite taking that measures, violence do erupt, it's up to them to put it to bed.
All right, Mr. Osuntokun, the cash crunch has definitely been a topic of discussion for the last few weeks. I'm sure the party has had its own stories regarding trying to procure cash in order to get things run for the campaign. What are your thoughts on the Supreme Court's decision to move the ruling until March 3rd, and does it affect your campaigning in any way?
Well, you know, it affects, it is the way it affects other Nigerians that it affects us. We're not in a special category who want to internalize or appropriate, you know, the difficulties that may arise in the implementation of the policy. Again, a candidate actually appropriated the policy as targeted towards him. Now, the implication of that is anybody who says that, a candidate, a presidential candidate contesting the election, who says that, that means that he intended to use money. It would be disavowed. It would be dissuaded. It will be prevented from using money, you know, the way he plans to use it. So again, that speaks for itself. The currency redesign policy, I think the motive behind it is right, but like most things in Nigeria and elsewhere, is the implementation gap, you know, that has been an issue. But at the minimum, I personally can cite one good thing that he has done, and that is to stabilize the Naira. When the policy was enacted, I don't think the Naira has, I think Naira has appreciated, you know, against other currencies. So that is one aspect. It may not be, well, that's what they intended. Of course, it's also reduced substantially, you know, the use and the abuse and misuse of voter-induced money to induce the voters. You know, that may not be. It's meant to be a fiscal or economic policy, but the unintended consequence for Nigerian politics, especially at this period of elections, and against the background that desperate politicians have introduced the culture of buying voters directly as you buy a goat in a cattle market. So this, it targets that, you know, that potential violation. But the implementation, so to say, has been botched. There will have been only, but at the end of the day, it affects us simply the way it has affected all Nigerians. Not as we do not intend, we have no plan, you know, to employ financial resources to induce voters. So that is the only respect in which we are affected. We are certainly not. We don't feel that it is targeted at us. So I don't. Our position or response to it is no different from the way the average Nigerian sees it or is affected by it.
Director General of the Labour Party Presidential Campaign. Yes?
But, excuse me,
yes.
By the way, let me use this opportunity, right, to raise an issue that just came up this afternoon. And those are our candidates down the ballot in Lagos State, down from Senator to House of Representatives. For whatever reason, they were not listed as candidates for the election. It's against the immediate background that the Supreme Court had given a judgment directing INEC to list them, you know, as candidates in the forthcoming election on Saturday. So
Mr. Akin Osuntokun, DG Labour Party Presidential Campaign Council, thank you so much for joining us on Newsday. you.